Oh, here's Dan. So welcome everybody. So good to see you all here. We have India in the house. We have Brentwood in the house, Australia, Florida. Yep. So the message here is very, very simple. It's saying that everything is an expression. Everything is an expression of this because there's only this. So whatever's happening, sounds, thoughts, feelings, whether there's a sense of a me there or not, is also this. Oh, here's Joan. So there's nothing to seek for, but seeking can happen. Doesn't have to make sense. Right? That's what the me's waiting for. Okay, when I finally get this, when I finally know it. But that's this believing it needs to get something to know this. So even yeah, buts are this. You know, as Nkosi says, you can't escape this because there's only this. And so this is all about resonance. You can't figure out everything is an expression of this. So we could open this up if anybody has any comments, questions, concerns. Feel free to unmute.
Well, I've been grappling with noticing that this has like a high-strung temperament. So if something doesn't go the way it expects it to, I notice like a deep sensation in the system, and it's been like that my whole life. But from this path, I've been able to witness it more and watch it. And I see it happening, and I'll even feel the sensations, but I'm not identifying with it as much. But there's just sensations running through the system. So do you have anything to say on temperament? Or is that's just another construct? But I'm calling temperament a construct, but the sensations that happen, it's just, my neck gets tight.
Yeah. So come back to there's only this.
I hear that, but at the time that the triggering happens, doesn't work so well.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist. You're here now. That doesn't, there's nothing else but that what's happening right now. Just sounds.
No, Scott Philby has, what does he say? Words, pictures, feelings, and sensations. That's what he refers to.
Problem, Joan, is that Michael is tricking you. He's not actually answering your question at all. Because your question is about Joan's project of dealing with her experience, her body and her feelings, and what can I do to make this move along better? right?
Well,
And he just went off into a whole other subject. He didn't even answer your question because he's not talking to Joan. So is that, yeah. So so then what? Where do we go from that?
guess there's still identification.
Well,
For all of us, that's why we're here. Go ahead, Michael.
so Joan, let me ask you. You tell me. So I'm saying that every expression is this because there's only this. Now, what would you say about that story? What must everything you just said, all of it, the feelings, the tightness in the neck, the words, the story, you telling it right now, what must all that be?
Construct.
Let's go back. If there's only this, and everything's an expression of this, no exceptions, then what must everything you just said be?
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
This.
This.
Brilliant. But that isn't going to help anything that Joan is doing. That's the tough thing about this meeting. And it's really great that you're speaking up because everybody here has the same question and the same, because it's the same me. The same me energy is looking for the same thing. But Michael is just kind of rudely actually pointing out that there's only, it's already here. Everything that the me is looking for is only already always here. So it kind of makes a fool out of the me. But yeah, go ahead. Do you want to say something, Michael? It's good to see Peter. Peter's back.
Yes.
Sorry.
Peter Reck in the house. Yeah, so somehow the way this magic trick seems to work is the me cuts out a little exception to all of this. There's just a little sliver called me.
I mean, I feel like it's a lot less, like there's been something deconstructing that there's a lot less, but I think it's not done burning off. And I can't do it because I know it's not a mental movement.
So there's no there's no help on offer here. What, how would, if everything is it, all there is this, right? That's the clear, uncompromising message. What path, what teaching, what would you have to read? What book? That all is this, and everything is an expression of this, because there's only this.
I think it's experiential. You can read about it, you can talk about it, but it's really experiential. I mean, the fact that we're all even on this, going through this, and some have arrived at the nothing of whatever it is. It's just something, there's some kind of shift, but I can't put it into words.
Joan, that's called the dream of separation.
Mhm. Cognitively, intellectually, I get that.
Yeah. So what must that be too?
This.
So the dream of separation, which is the same dream that all of us are in, every me is in the dream of separation, and it's going around and around in a circle inside the dream, looking for this, looking for that movement that will be this, the difference from what is already here, right? It wouldn't be looking if it was already what it was looking for. So that's the dream, looking and looking and looking. And it goes around and around inside the dream. That's the dream of me.
Yeah, nice. So Joan, what Dan's saying is the dream of me veils this.
I understand that cognitively.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's all the me can do, by the way.
yeah, right.
Right.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well,
The me is the veil.
right. But what I'm trying to communicate is that the me feels like an exception to all is this, right?
Does it feel like an exception? I think there's a separation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't exception. I don't know if I'd use that word.
Okay.
And it's taken years to build, and I know it can go in a second, but I can't do it. It's out of my hands.
So what could go in a second?
The separate self, the veil of the separate self. But again, it's not a mental movement. It really, I cognitively understand it happens when it happens.
No, that's what you see.
I don't know.
Well, no. I so want to go into Jim Newman and say, you're not hearing a word I'm saying. Joan, I just got through saying it's not about the getting. Your Joan is still trying to get. Can you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing on offer here. You're going to be horribly disappointed. I'm saying this is already it. There is no Joan. What you're thinking is separate Joan is this that peers.
Yes, there's hearing.
That's right. This is what's hearing, not Joan, not Michael, not Joyce. This is what's hearing.
This is what's seeing. This is what's hearing. This is what's speaking.
Occurs to me is that you're at that point, and then it's like the me is looking for more, whereas it's already you're already there, and the me thinks yes, and there is something else, and there isn't anything else.
Exactly. The dream is that there's something else,
Mm-hmm.
something missing, and there's something else that I need to get
Right,
or find or know.
right.
See, it's always been this.
And there's nothing coming that isn't this.
Mhm.
Well, where would this go?
Nowhere. It's right here.
That's the big secret. We got to it early today. 30 more minutes to kill.
But again, it's that every expression is this. That's the toughie, because the mind parses good and bad automatically. This is good, this is bad. I like this, I don't like that. It just happens automatically. It's just what the mind does. It's dualistic. It can't help itself. And if you go along for the ride, if you get on that bucking bronco, if you get involved with the mind, thinking you need to correct it or do anything about it,
I call it a misery manufacturing machine.
yeah, that's what you call it, but that's not what it is.
The mind. Well, that's judgment.
Well, it is a misery manufacturing machine. It's just that it doesn't exist. That's the dream. That's the illusion.
The illusion is that you think it exists.
Well, that there's some misery, that there's something that's missing from this, and I'm just stuck here without the this. I mean, without that real part of this that would make everything okay. That's the me.
Yeah. So what the me lives in is an imaginary this. And that imaginary this is always lacking, you may have noticed, without exception. It's always lacking. The me cannot imagine a whole this. I mean, it could try.
Right. And there's a whole, I just discovered earlier, there's a whole bunch of personal layers on it. Like, I know this, and so what they're saying is not matching with what I already know. And there's, all the piles of things that I thought I knew is also veiling it, or is also a veil to it.
Yeah, well said, Peter. That's knowledge. The reason knowledge veils it is because this is unknowable.
And the me is already involved in a project to get to this. And the only thing I have is the me is my knowledge. That's the only tool I have to try to get to this, is what I know and what I can know, and figuring out how what I know, how it all goes together, and what's right and what's wrong, and it's endless. So that's what the me is, constantly going to that, my toolkit of what I know. That's the story. But that's the circle. It's
Oh, you froze up a little.
inside the dream.
Danny, you froze up a little bit.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're back.
Oh well, you missed the best stuff.
Oh, we heard it. We just didn't get to see you, but you're back.
Okay. All right.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll throw something out there since I just came out of the meditation. It's kind of an inside joke for the Wednesday nighters. I usually join in around an hour and a half. So Joan, here's something I've been playing with a lot lately, because I have a big Taoism background and Zen background. So I've been playing a lot with formlessness versus form. So if you start from formlessness, and in our meetings, we talk a lot about the zero, coming from the zero, which is, you would probably maybe term it no mind, right? So then everything else is form. So if you have a temperament issue come up, you've left formlessness. So you can say the formlessness, like the Tao, is always there. You can call it pure being, you can call it pure awareness, but it's not a thought, it's not a me. I mean, we could say it's a me on some level, but it's actually, there's no term for it, right? It's transcendent. So what's helping me is that the second I go into anything, you could put a label on literally anything you want that's not form. Then at that point, you just realize I've entered the form world. And then that's what you would call the mind and the judgment and all that stuff. So maybe just play with that the Tao is formless and nameless, things I know Michael and Dan always talk about too. And if you start from that formlessness and namelessness and labellessness, then you can start to observe, which I know is still not quite all the way there, but it's a very close point to be. But then when you notice temperament comes up, you immediately can say, oh, I just identified with something that's not formlessness. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a different context of, or a different way of looking at it.
Thanks, Alan. The one thing that has come upon me, and I mentioned this in a previous session, was when I was looking at a tree, and Renee Magritte has a picture of a tree, and underneath it he says, "This is not a tree." And I just, landed with me that no, it isn't a tree. We call it a tree. Have no idea what it is. Don't know. We all agree that when you see that thing, call it a tree. I don't know what it is. We don't know what anything is. We give it labels to communicate, but we don't know what it is.
That's perfect, because now you're coming from formlessness, right? Or no label.
Yeah, it's like we don't know what anything is. We just use labels as a convenience for discussion.
Yeah.
But it's a vehicle. Labels are a vehicle of communication.
Try a little
So then
meditation before you go to bed tonight. Sorry, Faye. Try a little meditation before you go to bed tonight, and just meditate on formlessness, literally, like nothingness, whatever that word means to you. No thought, no mind, no anything. I mean, literally, you always hear me talk about sports. So if you're in the zone state, right, or you're lost in a song, or you're lost in a movie, you're in that no mind, and just see if you can just start playing with that world. And start to kind of feel that expansion, as opposed to the constriction of what the mind is trying to do, or what the mind is doing.
Thanks, Alan.
Gladly.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any help. I was just thinking, if you have the realization that the tree, it's just a label. Oh dear. Then could you think about temperament? It's just a label too.
Yes, I agree, but there is a sensation of something like constriction, which happens, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
it's
you
like, I
need
mean,
to
my mind
take-
like did something, and then I get a constriction. I'm like, what the hell,
So Joan, here's what the me does, right? It's like a parent and a little child, right? So the parent says, everything is made out of chocolate. There's only chocolate. Everything's an expression of chocolate, okay? With no exception. And then the child goes, okay, but what's that car made of? What's this feeling made of? I don't feel so good. What's that? I feel separate.
Imagination gone
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, no, it's weird, Joan. It's like the me has an immunity from hearing that all is this.
Agreed.
Because that's actually natural. Because of course the me would not want to hear that. That's the end of the me.
Mhm.
Job security.
Yeah. If all is this and there are no exceptions, then even what I think of as the me is this.
Because if you stop being interested in the labels, the story goes away. The labels are what keep the story going. That's why we're interested in, and
Yeah,
that's knowledge.
I just feel like there's a linchpin in there for me somewhere, you know?
The linchpin is, I feel like Joan, and I think that I am Joan.
Is there a place for letting go? Is
Not really.
letting go?
In the
No.
story there is,
Yeah.
but there really isn't anyone to let go. The only one that would be
Yeah.
around would be inside the story.
I get
Yeah.
that. I get that.
But letting go is
That'd
good
be the
too.
me.
If there's a feeling about letting go, then that's fine too. As Michael would say, it's all this. But there's no job. There's no job to do here.
Yeah,
That's the hardest thing. That's the thing that can't be heard.
that's it.
You can't get to here. There's no way to get to here. And there's no knowledge that applies to this.
So here, there was a very strong resonance with all is this. Something in me just went, well, of course. What else? Because to say all is this, but there's something else, is saying that there's something other than this. Go ahead.
Peter, you're
Yeah.
on mute. You need to unmute. Oh,
And I just said something so important.
I know.
No, I was just going to say, a minute ago or said, that a total acceptance, maybe, you know, it's slightly different from just realizing there isn't anything else. And it helps me also to just accept this as all of it, like that I'm not starting to separate it out, that this but not that, or, you know, it's just this. Maybe, yeah, that there isn't anything missing is helpful also, that it's complete.
Mhm. So missing is in imagination.
Mhm. Right.
There's never really anything missing.
Imagination never becomes real, no matter how much it feels, you know, no matter how much in imagination we are, how much my experience feels strong, it never becomes real.
But to the person, to the separate me, it feels very real because they're lost in that loop, that mental loop of my story. And I'm not getting there, and I'm frustrated, and the control thing's not working out too well.
Mhm.
Well, that loop, that's a loop of addiction, isn't it? And how do you get out of that loop?
Maybe there is no getting out of it. Maybe this is it too. The loop is
Yeah,
included
yeah.
already.
That's what we're saying. You can't get out of it. Believe me, there's no way out.
Yeah,
As
You
Tim
don't-
Kliss is always saying, it's hopeless.
yeah.
There's
So-
no way out. All you can do is see that you were never in it.
No, but that's really good, Faith, because it does, I have to say, it can come as a shock that this too is when you're feeling stuck and, you know, and alone and hopeless, that's this too.
And the story of me is alone and stuck and hopeless. And that's why it's so attracted to these things that make it feel a little better for a while. Because it's to be me is to be stuck. And that's not good. But those solutions that the me is always looking for don't work. That's the whole point, because it's all imaginary. It's
Mhm.
not real. The only thing that works is what's real, quote unquote real. Which is just this. It's already here. Is it the,
Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
Elvis has entered the
to
building.
get a drum roll.
We should be playing, what was his, CC Rider was Elvis's walkout music. Come on, don't scare him. It's like 3 a.m. there, almost 4 a.m. now. South African time. This is amazing. I'm still dazzled by the technology that we have in Nkosi, South Africa, trying to log in. We have Rajiv from India, Faith, Australia, just international.
You have Joyce in a tree.
Yes, that too, right? So
Actually,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Trina, in a way, is great for the meeting because it's sort of like nowhere.
Uh-huh.
She's really just nowhere. So she's sort of in that formlessness that I could love to talk about.
Nkosi, welcome. So good to see you.
Welcome to this.
Well, you don't have to really welcome him to this because this was already happening.
This is
Actually,
welcoming this to this.
But we'll welcome you anyway, Nkosi.
thanks. Nobody left.
I feel great relief when I listen to the message of there's just this, but also I feel like it's a brutal message. Is that part of it? I feel like there's a sweetness and joy, but it's also brutal. Like when you're in pain, physical pain or emotional pain, and it's just this, that's pretty tough.
Agreed. Yeah, just hearing that it's just this it is tough because the mind's still doing something, you know.
If it is this and all there is this, it's neither tough or not tough. It's just that there isn't another option. We're not looking for it to be different. We're not comparing it because we're not having an expectation for anything particular.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Yeah, the judgment's popped in there, hasn't it?
What the me is calling pain, as Nkosi, you said last week, is also this, the pain. It's not pain.
Yeah, actually, everything is this. There's nothing that can appear outside of this. You know. The experience of pain, the pain itself, it is this. So whenever pain appears, nobody is feeling pain. It's just an appearance because already there is no one. Pain is not for anyone. It's just pain. Nobody has anything. Nobody possesses anything because already there's nobody here. There is nobody who owns any material stuff. There's nobody walking. There's nobody talking. It's just this right here. And this does not have any intention to be known. It's just as it is. It may appear that there are some people who want to get to know this, but it's just an appearance in this. And those as well who seem to have intention to know this is this as well. So there's no separation. Nothing can arise outside of this and try to seek this, because even that one is still this as well. There is only what is. And nobody can know this, because there's no one here, there's just this. Whichever direction this meeting may take, it is this. We may never go wrong. There are no mistakes here. So all is this. There's just what seems to be happening. And this is happening for no one, because already there's no one here. There is no enlightened being here. No one is enlightened. There's just this. Wholeness, everything. There's just what seems to be happening. And it's not happening. It's just wholeness appearing to happen, but it's not happening. This doesn't mind the me, because the me is it already. This doesn't say there shouldn't be any me. Because what seems to be a me is it already. You can't get this. This can't be said. This can't be gotten. There's just this. You can call it boundless energy, dirty socks, mouse, a chicken, doesn't matter. This is beyond all names. There's no you in this. There's just this.
In Kosi, it looks like we have a question from Rajiv. You want to unmute, Rajiv? Maybe he was waving goodbye.
Try again, Rajiv. We lost you for a second there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question for Makosi that can we call this blah blah blah?
This doesn't mind. It doesn't mind. Because even what seems to be you calling it blah 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 is still this.
I saw you.
Blah 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 is this as well.
I saw you posted that, Rajiv.
No, but it is blah, blah, blah. That's the best thing we could say about it. Everything else is pretending that there's actually some kind of meaning or something.
Yeah. So everyone is okay. Wherever you may be, whatever you may be thinking, actually there's no you, it's just this. There's just an appearance in this. What is this? It's nothing appearing as everything. That's it.
But Faith, you are correct. It is a brutal message. It's a very brutal message for the me. Because it's facing that things cannot go right. And there's nothing I can do to make them go right. They're going as they go. They can't go right. They can't go wrong. It's just going. It is not anything for the me's agenda. And that is brutal to the me. Yes.
It's like if you
Yeah,
get a,
it felt, I was just going to say, it felt like, feels like it's a two-edged sword, very sweet and delightful on one side, but also, but brutal on the other. It just, yeah.
But only for the me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this doesn't say the me shouldn't do anything about it. Whatever may appear, whatever situation might seem to appear, this doesn't say the me shouldn't do anything about it. This doesn't mind, just doesn't mind.
Yeah, I love that, Nkosi, because I've lived my life with a whole set of rules about what I should do and shouldn't do. And it's much easier now to do what I shouldn't do. Doesn't matter. So that's freedom. That's extra freedom here. Because I suppose when you say this doesn't mind, I've always thought that this does mind. That it minds about this and it minds about that and it minds about yesterday and tomorrow and everything else.
Just doesn't mind.
So I'm glad it doesn't mind. That's a great release.
And there's no you in this, there's just this. Even the
Yeah,
one who seems to
that's
be
even-
talking right now is this as already. There's no you already.
Yeah, that's even better
Yes.
release.
You know, Faith, too, the message doesn't have to be brutal. You used a great word. The message can be free. Freedom, right? Because you even said it. You've had a lot more freedom in your life as you've gone.
Yeah.
So think of the message as being freedom, not brutal.
Okay.
It is as it is.
Or as Dan would say, it's to the me. You know, obviously it's to the me if it's brutal, but if you have a choice, why not choose freedom?
Or you could say brutal freedom.
This has,
Freedom appearing is brutal.
yeah, because this, if all is this, how could this have a way?
That's a good point right there.
Oh man, Nkosi, I'm so glad you were able to make it, my friend. Thank you so much coming in as our closer. Beautiful. Thank you,
Thanks, you're
everyone.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to everyone for showing up. So happy to see each and every one of you. Thank you, and I'll get this up on YouTube in the next 24 to 48 hours.
All
Thank
right.
See you guys.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Trina showed up.